Afternoon. So I have a question before we kick this off. So I'm Jeremy Dominic with C3 Technology Advisors, and I'm excited to introduce Authentics. Claire Mayer is going to be walking through a presentation today, but I'm interested, for the folks that are out there, do you guys mind sharing with me if any of you are in the either healthcare or payer or pharmaceutical space or anything that ties back to that? Raise your, that, great. Um, So we've set this up from insight to impact, so it's guiding healthcare organizations through the AI transformation journey. So in partnership with Authentics, we'll be exploring how healthcare leaders are harnessing AI to transform their operations and elevate patient experience. So I got the opportunity a couple of months ago to visit with the Authentics team and meet with their clients that are on their platform. Just a great experience to see how things work, how AI is being leveraged in the healthcare space. And I'm really excited for the opportunity to have Claire walk through their platform, share insight. And if you guys could do me a favor, we have a lot of content to get through in a short period of time, but I want you to mix it up. You can derail her or me today. If you have questions, please feel free to interrupt. Let's make this as interactive as possible. And thank you so much. If you want to kick it off.
Perfect.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name's Claire Mayer, as I was just introduced. I work for Authentics, which is a conversation intelligence solution that works specifically with healthcare industries. So as Jeremy laid out, pharmaceutical manufacturers, life sciences companies, insurance groups, and healthcare systems. The agenda that we're going to go through today, as alluded to with it being packed, we're going to do a brief rundown of the state of the state on AI, what's going on, how it's evolving, how quickly that's changing, and how hard that is to keep our arms around. We're going to talk through what makes your AI project successful. This part is a little bit industry agnostic in terms of a framework, so if you're not one of the healthcare members in the room, that is okay. And then we're going to briefly at the end go into Authentics. I'm going to give you an overview of the platform. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the real life outcomes we've been able to achieve for our clients, and then we're just going to have some closing remarks and a recap there. If you are going to have to duck out at any point, I know there's a lot of great stuff going on today. I want to make sure you don't miss this. If you scan this QR code on your phone, this is a no strings attached 15-minute on-demand demo that you can check out that is run by our CPO, Eric Prue. You don't have to give me your email. You don't have to meet with my sales team. You don't have to promise anything. You can just access that right away. We'll pop this up at the end as well, but I want to make sure that no one's missing that if you have to jump out. If you have any other questions too, our team is set up at table 45 in the exhibit hall here. Please feel free to stop by afterwards. All right, let's dive right in. So AI, rapidly evolving, and it seems like just when you finally figure out like, okay, I got it, I know everything that's out there, it changes again and there's a whole new set of technology capabilities that you need to get familiar with and learn. And we are kind of unlocking these crazy, almost impossible things that used to just be in movies that are now happening day to day in our lives. We have AI powering robots that can fold laundry for us. We can scan ingredients in our pantry and get a dinner recipe to save us from a DoorDash order. We can use an AI tool to plan an international trip in a couple of minutes. And the first ever flying car that is powered largely by AI was just approved by the FAA. And so when you see all these things happening and kind of the monument of that achievement, it's really easy to understand why a lot of us think, great, I buy AI. It's a silver bullet. It's going to get me exactly what I need. It's going to unlock all this success and efficiency for me. And that's going to be really great and fun, and I'm going to get promoted and be a hero at work. Unfortunately, that's probably not how it goes for most people. Maybe some of you in this room have been on the other end of this, which is, hey, I'm told AI is this priority for my organization, and then I go out and I try and find a solution, and I run into my AI governance board, who has all these questions that disrupts my flow in that purchasing process. I go to get budget. I'm being absolutely hammered by procurement for ROI numbers. I'm being told that maybe this is a little too expensive. What's the difference between this type of AI and that type of AI? I don't know. You just told me to go out and find this. And then I'm running into data acquisition and data structure issues. Who knew that was going to be a part of the journey? Maybe I'm running into problems configuring the AI to work exactly how I need it to work for my organization or my processes. During all of this, regulations could change. That seems to be happening at quite the cadence nowadays. And then you go through your data security, the ultimate data reporting outputs. Finally, you might get to that end desired outcome, but at that point, you're so far in the hole, does it even feel like you succeeded? Does the organization feel like you've succeeded? And that's kind of something that's happening universally across every industry, is that as we've been kind of racing to be not left behind, there's been some choices that have led to buyer's remorse across AI projects at companies. Now, does that mean AI is bad? The plot twist today is that I work for an AI company and I came here to tell you to run because my boss is not in the room. No, right? It's about we need to really be better about leveraging this tool the way that it is most suited to be leveraged and reset expectations around what is possible with AI as well as what is responsible to do with AI. And so we're going to go through a framework today on exactly how to do that. The central question I want everyone to be able to walk out of here answering for themselves, right, is how do I avoid being in that 85% of projects that fail? How do I come out as the success story? And luckily, it's super easy, I promise. There's just 3 things that you need to remember. The first is that you have to identify the best role for AI on your team or in your organization. The second is that you need to select partners, not just platforms or tools or point solutions. And the third is that you need to work to set expectations around deployment and results. And we're going to dive into each of these today with practical takeaways about how to do that effectively in your organization. So let's start with how do we identify the best role for AI on our team? It really comes back to this question, which is where does AI excel and where does that overlap with the needs that I have? So where does AI excel? Where do I have needs that fit that purpose? Because we need to be sure that we select tools that are actually capable of delivering on what we need from them, right? And sometimes that's not going to be AI. We'll dig into that a little bit later on, right? And other times it's just going to be about selecting the right AI tool, not the first one available, not the one that can do the most things for me, but the one that is purpose-built or fit for what I'm trying to accomplish in this moment, without trying to boil the ocean. Maybe you could benefit from some analytics capabilities that help provide more real-time visibility, trend data, insights from various sources to help inform next actions, drive business decisions. Maybe it's about kind of scoring and automating how you're approaching things like quality programming or general operations, customer satisfaction. Maybe you're just overwhelmed with a lot of manual tasks and you think, hey, surely AI could take some of these off my plate, and you're probably right. So it's about thinking about where you have these needs and where the AI's efficiency is going to overlap. And these aren't the only 3 buckets, right? But these are 3 pretty prominent ones that we see across our clients. Once you have the answer of kind of, all right, I know where AI excels, I understand where my needs overlap, this is a helpful tool for evaluating if AI is not just the right solution, but it's the responsible solution for the given time. And this is a matrix that was developed by Sean King, who's the founder of Human Context AI, for really assessing when AI is going to be the right tool or a responsible tool for you to deploy in any given situation. So on the vertical axis here, we have stakes, right? This is risk, essentially. When the stakes are high, I get this thing wrong, my risk is pretty astronomical as we move up that, versus pretty low risk, not high stakes at all. Then going across horizontally here, we have the uncertainty. And that measures the quality and the clarity of the input data and decision criteria that you can give AI in order to make the determinations you are asking AI to make. So if we have pretty clear inputs that we have offered the AI, good guardrails, good data, and the risk is pretty low, that's where what we call the automation zone here. That's what's ripe for taking those manual repetitive tasks completely off your plate. All right, a call summary isn't exactly spot on. Maybe there's a word or 2 here that we should adjust. That's okay, right? The risk is low with something like that. So AI is perfect here for executing these high volume, very repetitive, very well-defined actions. Now, if that uncertainty is maybe increasing, it's a little bit more of a gray area, not as dry cut on what we can offer the AI, that's where augmentation comes into play, where we have AI as a tool that can help inform us on what kind of directional trends maybe it's noticing or seeing, patterns that we should pay attention to, but it's something that we as humans need to ultimately keep the hands on the wheel when it comes to any decision making, right? So that's, as we move along kind of that uncertainty spectrum and what goes into the AI, what we've been able to provide it in terms of guardrails, the type of data it's being asked to look like, that's how that can kind of help impact those decisions. And then as the stakes get high, even if that uncertainty is still low, I have pretty clear-cut criteria that I've given to this AI. I have, well-curated data that it can use, precise rubrics that have been developed. my stakes are still high. So I can use the AI as maybe an alerting system. It can do things like I have a model that's well trained to find an adverse event or a product quality complaint in a conversation and flag it and escalate it. But what I don't want it doing is making the full determination that this is an event that needs to go all the way through the FDA reporting cycle. I want someone to take that escalation. I want them to be able to look at that and assess yes, no, on where that falls ultimately on the risk spectrum. Excuse me. And then we have this kind of upper right-hand corner here, which is the command corner, which is, hey, maybe no with the AI, right? AI shouldn't play a big role in the command zone. This is where we need humans to have both hands on the wheel, not just one, and retain full control of decisions that get made, because the inputs that are going in to the AI and the criteria we're able to give it are really not super clear or prescriptive, and the stakes are simply too high for us to leave this decision to AI and to our process tools. Okay, so that's how we can start to evaluate when AI is a good choice for us, where it has particular skill sets that overlap with the needs that we have as a business, a team, an individual, and how we can really think about when it's responsible for us to keep a hand on the wheel in how we deploy it. This next step is about selecting partners, not just platforms. And what I mean by this is AI is extremely complex technology, and it's extremely nuanced technology, and it's changing day by day. And it's pretty likely that most people in this room, your entire day job isn't devoted to just staying on top of the cutting edge of what's happening in AI and making sure that you are building and implementing solutions specifically tailored for your business needs that meet that new kind of edge of the technology here. So when you find a partner, this is about finding a vendor who's going to empower you by keeping you on the forefront of what is available and a relevant solution for you. They're going to help educate you on why this is or is not that the solution that you should consider. They're going to know things like this decision matrix in terms of, even if you ask for it, is it responsible if we actually set it up this way, and help provide those guardrails for you. So how do you know if someone is a partner, not just a platform? There's really kind of two things that we want to consider here. It's what goes into the AI that they are selling and that they are managing and that they're trying to get you to use, and how that AI is ultimately deployed. So diving into that, there's an old adage about garbage in, garbage out. That pretty much sums up, in the simplest possible terms, what you need to know about your AI that you use and that you deploy. There's a quote I have up here about how AI relies exclusively on us to provide it its context and to give it its world understanding, right? It doesn't have this default intuition or ability to understand and navigate the world. We actually create its world, and we tell it how to operate within that world. This IBM ad that I have up here references donuts. I think this is also a really good, simple example for explaining why what goes into AI is so critical. It posits that if you trained AI that all donuts are frosted, right? A condition of being a donut is that it has to have frosting. Powdered donuts, crullers, tiger tails, cinnamon rolls, all these things that we as people know and love as donuts would be excluded from that, right? So when we give AI these definitions, it's applying the definition we give it. It's not making exceptions or saying, well, but I know that a powdered donut is also a donut, unless we've told it that, right? So the rules that we set for AI are going to determine what the outputs are that it's able to provide us, and the quality of those outputs, and if they ultimately are going to be reliable for us long term. And that's why when you select a partner, it's really important to consider where generic AI versus specialized AI is the way to go. So if you look at generic AI, this is a vertical or industry agnostic, usually massive large language model, LLM, that gets trained off of publicly available data. And the reason that can be problematic is because there's no real cleansing or labeling or selection process that happens with that training data. What that means is that if I'm training off of, let's say, the internet, jokes, facts, sarcasm, altered imagery, all of the things that are out there are given equal weight, right? The AI can't tell the difference. I asked an AI tool that will remain unnamed to give me a dressing recipe once. And this AI provided me with a recipe, and it's going on, and eventually it stopped talking about balsamic, and it started talking about bandages. And that's because wound dressing and salad dressing both have dressing in them, and this AI doesn't have any guardrails to tell me when to stop, when to start talking about one versus the other, because all of that is in its context, all of that is in its knowledge system, right? And when you have that much reference material, it's also super expensive to maintain. So AI operates with parameters. Think of these as different functions that the AI can call upon to complete a certain task. And we can imagine parameters as a bunch of knobs, right? I can dial something up or down based on whether or not I need it for this particular task that I'm asking it to complete. And the more functions a model serves, right, the more knobs and dials there are to turn, the more processing and data fees and all of this stuff you're going to incur. And this can result in longer processing times. It definitely impacts the cost of running these models long term. Now, on the other side of generic AI, you have specialized AI. And this is an AI that's built for a very specific purpose, function, maybe a vertical or industry, perhaps even as microscopic as a task or an individual team, right? Where the training data and the methods deployed are all to improve richness and depth of context that the model has. So not to go horizontally broad across what the model can do, but to go really vertically deep in the expertise that a model has in order to execute a function. And lots of specialized AI solutions actually build multiple models that are dedicated to completing one singular function. And we call this approach a mixture of experts, right? You have a specialized model that is an expert in the specific task it is being asked to complete for you. So one model only does call summary. One model only does transcription. One model only looks for competitive mentions. And that allows you to get more precise, reliable, and consistent results because the model has been given all of the context that it needs to have expertise in the task it is being asked to complete or produce for you. So how the AI is deployed, we know what goes into it now. How it actually is deployed includes how it's leveraged or managed. And lots of internal IT teams weren't really built to deploy high-quality AI because it wasn't ingrained in our business until very recently, right? And so what that typically looks like is as they're being inundated with requests for we need AI over here, we need AI over there. We don't really have a framework as a company, we just know we need AI. The default is to kind of layer over your existing tech stack as much AI as possible, right? This often results in us applying AI to pretty vague or relatively low value use cases because what we're doing is we're taking the most base AI, LLMs generally, and we're trying to fill the most checkboxes on our to-do list from various departments. And so you're giving yourself a ceiling for the potential of what AI can accomplish. I was at a conference recently where someone said they have an AI solution and what it does is automate PowerPoint creation. And maybe that's great, but a marketing intern can do that for you too. So where are we actually taking this technology that's capable of flying cars and folding laundry for me and making recipes and applying it in a business sense? So AI's application in your company can and should be about more than the most basic functions for everybody. I use Authentics here as an example of what specialized AI can yield, which is, again, going to that more richer, precise, high-value use cases because of the way it was developed and the way that it's intentionally deployed. There's a constant improvement cycle where we're doing offline training and hand curating and creating our own in-house data labels for proprietary models that are purpose-built for the function we're asking them to execute at any time. We have in-house, full-staff prompt engineering teams and engineers supporting this software and giving us new features to make it more accessible, usable with the structured outputs we provide. We also choose the right AI tool for each task that we ask the AI to perform. So we use that mixture of experts approach as opposed to trying to just square peg and round hole a generic model into what we're asking a tool to provide us. Okay, so we've got how to identify what AI's role should be in my company. We've gone through why it's important to select a partner, not just a platform. Now we're going to talk about the easiest one, or what should be the easiest one, but a stumbling block for a lot of AI initiatives, which is how do we set expectations around deployment and results? A healthy amount of AI projects fail or set up to fail because the stewards of the projects are immediately confronted with poor AI literacy throughout their organization. Maybe it's a boss. Maybe it's just other employees. Maybe it's other team members who don't actually get what the AI is supposed to do, what's reasonable to expect of AI, or all of the steps it's going to take for you to deploy quality AI. There's a clock ticking for you to show ROI the second you announce to people, hey, we bought this AI solution. Everyone has that expectation from the first slide of, great, so in a couple days, I can go to them and ask for anything and they're gonna have it. And that's not really the case. So one of the best things you can do as a leader at your organization in the AI movement and with AI projects as a whole is to ensure that you're setting super clear expectations and success criteria with all your stakeholders, as well as the broader organization. So that way, this very natural journey to a fully functional AI solution is something that you can kind of package as, hey, we've hit this milestone. This is an iterative win. This is a tiny success on our journey to a much greater solution. Instead of kind of this black box of unmet expectations, I don't know when this is going to be done, and foggy timelines. So how we do that, how I recommend we do that, how we help our clients do that, is we align with stakeholders on defining what's fair to expect of a solution, what's going to be necessary to call this a success, and we take time to educate stakeholders on AI literacy going into the market. So before we even buy a solution, we want people to have a base understanding of what we need to look for. What's disqualifying for a solution? When should we walk away from one? What are must-haves on our list that we need to make sure are present in whoever we decide to partner with? That's going to give you an educated buying committee, as well as make sure you're super confident on pressing vendors on questions that are going to be critical to your success. We also recommend phasing your AI projects, which is ensuring that you're getting what you need out of a solution as you roll it out, as opposed to going all in and trying to boil the ocean in one fell swoop, and maybe learning things along the way that would have changed your approach. This really insulates you against risk, and it also helps make sure that the teams deploying this have time to focus. Oh yeah, question in the back. Go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying in phases. My question would be, why would an application like Authentics?
Yeah, great question. So what Authentics helps you get to is a ground truth, right? And we're going to dig into this a little bit more, but we work with conversation intelligence. So there's conversations flowing through your organizations and your customer touch points every day. There's probably hundreds of thousands to millions of them that we see with some of our clients. And what they're telling you is everything you need to know from a business sense. They are telling you, hey, I'm not satisfied with this program and I intend to disenroll. Hi, I'm super confused about this copay card and it's resulting in me having to call 5 times, right? I started taking your medication and all of a sudden I have all these headaches and I don't know what's going on with that. And these are all things that need to get escalated and surfaced and addressed pretty quickly. But you as a manager, you as a VP, anyone up above you at all, even QA managers, can't listen to all those conversations, right? It's an overwhelming volume problem. So we help pull all of that in. We have all that unstructured conversation data, and we run it through proprietary models that can help sort and flag those things. We can identify, hey, these are the leading drivers of longer calls that are costing you more. Hey, these are the leading drivers of confusions that are drawing out your pre-enrollment process for a therapy. You've got 5 adverse events that we think we found in these conversations you should review and might need to report. These are all things that we can bring to the surface for you, and we can help you establish these trends and patterns and get you to that ground foundational truth on what's going on in the business. Once you have that, you can say, hey, we really need a tool that addresses X, right? Because that turns out it's driving 90% of the call volume to this line, and we gotta make that stop. So where do we invest to make that happen? Great question. Thank you.
I think building on that, phase 2 becomes self-service chatbot.
Yeah, where do I have opportunity to deflect calls entirely, right? 100%. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Tee that up beautifully for me. Appreciate it. So the last thing that we recommend here is communicating timelines, key milestones, key dependencies, all of these things that are, again, going to be a normal part of this process so that people are on the same page, right? And we're not creating this perception of setbacks. We're really making sure that these are, check marks on a checklist. We are continually moving forward and through them. Okay. So these are the 3 things that we want everyone walking out and being sure that we can remember. Identifying the best role for AI on your team, select partners, not a platform, and set expectation around deployment and results. Now, the next part is where we get into the healthcare specific stuff, which is, what does this look like in healthcare? Now that we know how to kind of buy and evaluate AI, we know how to assess where it's going to be most useful to us. The healthcare industry is super unique and very complex. Does AI play a role there, and what's that role need to be? There's a lot that you need to consider when you're thinking about AI and healthcare in particular. Regulatory and legal stuff that is definitely going to be something that you're going to encounter and have to go through, be it just governing legislation or in-house AI governance teams. There's specific terminology, both process and brand name, and all of these ever-evolving lexicons that make solutions that rely on keyword libraries and things of that nature really hard to maintain and burdensome for you as a client. And then there's also these just very nuanced conversations that are being had. Nobody's calling into an insurance provider or a healthcare system or a pharmaceutical line for fun or because they're having the best day of their life, right? You're dealing with very difficult, high-stakes conversations in almost all of these customer touch points. And at Authentics, we've really addressed this through our approach to build specialized AI that's designed to serve these needs for healthcare. So our technology, processes, and people are optimized to serve the healthcare industry and meet your needs without at all sacrificing on the time it's going to take for you to stand this up and get to valuable insights that help, again, establish that ground truth to inform your business, create better outcomes for your patients or members, as well as help you understand what next steps need to look like for investing in problem areas in the business. Yeah, Jeremy. Thank you. So we asked ourselves the question that I encouraged you all to ask, which is, where does AI excel? Where do the needs of the healthcare industry overlap? We found this massive opportunity with analyzing this voice of customer, and we can't uncover that, as we were talking about just a second ago with the question, at any level of scale without using AI as a tool. So we take this customer voice and we pull it into Authentics, which again, proprietary AI models that we build and manage in-house onshore, to help analyze what is going on in those conversations that is relevant to the business to know, again, either from an operational perspective, from a regulatory compliance perspective, or from a customer or member experience perspective. What that actually looks like in practice and how we've helped people. It looks like helping providers and healthcare systems have comprehensive care as well as efficient operations by helping them with analysis of key drivers of costly interactions, helping provide visibility into preventable issues, communication gaps, all of these things, and also helping with proprietary models that dive into things like social determinants of health and other complex factors that are impacting a patient population. It looks like us helping insurance companies to improve their operations while also enhancing member experiences through AI-powered call resolution, first call resolution monitoring, and repeat caller monitoring, scoring agent performance in a contact center and helping eliminate the need for a manual QA process, helping coach agents both in a conversation and also outside of one, and then helping with trending insights to things like risk signals, CAHPS scores, STARS scores that all matter to funding and general member satisfaction. And lastly, we help in the pharma life sciences space streamline the patient journey and ensure compliance. We provide conversation analytics, voice of customer reporting. We help with proprietary patient journey modeling to understand what stations of the patient journey are being most impacted by things within your control. We look at trending data views, help support agile responses during things like new product or therapy launches, and we also help identify things like adverse events, product quality complaints, other special situations that impact patient safety in order to make sure that they can be escalated and resolved in a timely manner. Okay, we've reached the closing remarks, hopefully just in time. So today what we talked about, 3 different things. We talked about the pillars on identifying the role for AI in your organization, helping select a partner, not just a platform or solution that's going to say, here's the tech, go figure it out. We talked about setting expectations within your organization, which is an easy step to make sure that you are framing and packaging AI rollout the right way to get people on board. We dove into specialized AI, why what goes into your AI matters, how it's deployed, how it's meant to be managed and leveraged can really contribute to those ultimate outcomes you're looking to achieve. And we talked a little bit about Authentics right here at the end and how we've addressed this through our approach to building specialized AI for the healthcare industry. walking out of here today, I hope that the next steps all of you feel empowered to take on your AI journey at your different organizations, bring back to the stakeholders that are driving these initiatives as well, is talking to your innovation partners about what are the projects you have on the books for 2026, going through that exercise of do any of these meet criteria for AI being a potential solution, and then starting to do the education portion and the deep dive on what do we need of those solutions if the answer is yes. I hope you talk about the missed opportunity of not doing this today. What's the cost of not looking for these types of solutions? What are we leaving on the table? Or what are we going to continue to experience? And then I hope that you work to identify partners who are going to grow with you and proactively help you set these expectations as you go down the implementation road. That's all the time I think I have today. And as promised, QR codes here, again, no strings attached. I hope you all enjoyed this and were able to learn a little something from it. I'll stick around a little bit for questions here. Thank you for your time.